I'm his Big Bear Ron, and in this video I want to read some lines from a book titled Real Boys' Voices. It is written by William S. Pollack. I don't know if you can see that or not. You can find the book on Amazon.com and other bookseller websites. At any rate, let me read from a couple of pages, and then I will end with a comment or two. Okay, here we go. Boys have told me that one of the biggest tests of their masculinity is sex. Given the macho boy culture, they are swiftly ostracized and made to feel unmanly if they disclose how confused they really are about when to become sexually active and when or if to lose their virginity. Many feel that society forces them to have sex before they truly want to. Jeff, a 16-year-old in the Northeast, describes this relentless pressure. Quote, Your virginity is what determines whether you are a man or a boy in the eyes of every teenage male. Teenage men see sex as a race. The first one to the finish line wins. Your virginity is the single most important thing that determines your social status in the eyes of almost every teenage male. In high school, virginity is a self-demeaning label that you want nothing more than to get rid of. It's almost inconceivable to think that your virginity, your one and only innocence, could be your worst enemy. I will never forget the first time I was asked if I was a virgin. I still remember the fear that the question struck in me. The fear of not being accepted by my friends. The fear of not being able to get with girls." Unquote. Winston, a 17-year-old Southerner, told me, "I'm a virgin, and I try to stay pure because of my religious beliefs. But there is a lot of pressure on guys to have sex with girls. If you haven't had sex yet, there's something wrong with you." Unquote. Although having sex with girls is a crucial test of masculinity, many boys say that appearing vulnerable and thereby by definition, feminine, is the biggest taboo of the boy code. The worst insult a boy can experience is to be called, quote, wimp, fag, homo, or wuss, unquote. Interestingly enough, these words are as much an expression of homophobia as they are a fear of or repulsion towards any display of dependency or the need so-called female traits. This taboo places even more restraints on how a boy can present himself to the world, thereby pushing him into deeper fear and isolation. Jacob, a 17-year-old living in a suburb outside of Boston, says, quote, "Guys have this notion that if you like reading and don't like wrestling, and you'd rather go to an art museum than play football, then that means you are gay. And that's just wrong." Unquote. Jacob's schoolmate, Carlos, a 12-year-old who is an excellent student and loves sports, explains why boys are barred from showing any emotional display. Quote, "If I was upset by something at school, I might not cry there because the other boys will stare at me, or they might call me girly. So boys will say they're crying for home." Unquote. 17-year-old Brett from the South states that boys can't form close friendships for fear of seeming feminine. Quote, "You can never get close with another guy because it's like you're gay, you're feminine, and it's not acceptable to be at all feminine when you're a guy. At school, they would call you fag and stuff like that." Unquote. Quote, "I don't cry in front of people," said Teddy, a 16-year-old from Tennessee. "I'll do it sometimes when I'm in my own room or talking to one of my good friends on the phone, but not in front of the guys. I feel really embarrassed when I cry in front of guys. They look at you as a wimp. It comes off as physically weak. You just don't amount to much as a guy if you cry in front of others. When I get upset about things, I usually go to my room and isolate myself." Unquote. The writer studies boys, their behavior, and he has done some interviewing, and he puts together some of his findings. I'm not here to say that I agree with all of the interpretations of the writer, but I think the writer has something to say. And I think it would be worth our time to perhaps consider this as one book of all of our books, especially if you work in close proximity with young men. Real Boys' Voices. If you read the book, share with me what you think. Take care.